tremendously complex, and again, a long-term undertaking. Somehow, the leaders of this country have also got to manage the expectations of these communities that have a legitimate sense that it's now or never, that this is the time to see the results. It's going to take a decade to really turn these patterns around. But I think that the general public is generally very generous in Nepal, tremendously tolerant and patient in terms of waiting to see change. And I think they're able to distinguish.
Some feel that the patience is costing on the progress.
That they're too patient? Or that you mean that the patience is running out? Well, I think they are. I mean, I have to admire the patience of the average Nepali when I look around and I read.
So is the patience that you experienced in your 18 months of your tenure here in Nepal similar to the other postings that you had in your 20-year UN career back in Kosovo and Thailand and Cambodia?
I think Thai, I mean, it's hard to generalize. Thais are tremendously patient too. I think it's got something to do with some faith in reincarnation. So if it doesn't work this time round, hopefully the next deal will be a better one. But I think Nepalis are certainly very, very patient. When I look and when I walk, and as I have done in, say, Mugu or Jumla, and I visit homes and stay in homes that are pretty much medieval in terms of the resources, the lack of resources that they have, no electricity, no latrine, no running water, I mean, astonishing levels of poverty. Hard-working people, tremendously patient in terms of waiting, and perhaps in some ways sheltered in a negative way from what their rights are, what is possible, and I think that is what is starting to change. A lot more people moving seasonally to India, people with access maybe to television and so forth, and those expectations now of those communities. So I don't think politicians can bank forever on that level of patience, because I think these same communities that have remained and remain very, very poor indeed have an increasing appreciation of what others have got and what they reasonably should expect to get for themselves. And so I think this is it's a huge challenge, and the leaders need to be very proactive about managing, communicating and managing those expectations. And I think getting started, I think people are, I was going to say before, people know when they can see a sincere effort to get started on a long-term proposition. It's not the short term. We've had a cabinet decision on the quotas of reservation policy through an ordinance 6 months ago that didn't last the length of time, how long? A couple of months. It didn't translate into anything. It's just a piece of paper. It wasn't backed by a political consensus. It wasn't backed by Parliament. It wasn't backed by resources. It's just a political statement. I think the general public, even the least educated to the best educated, can see that there's nothing behind that but a political statement. What they need to see is a sustained and earnest effort to get started on implementing a political decision.
Now let's talk about the week ahead.
Yeah.
The stand-up that is planned worldwide, what does it remind a common man?
What happened then was that in 2000, all these leaders, 189, made these commitments. Rich and poor, everyone has a role to play in the MDGs. A campaign was then built after the year 2000, the MDG campaign, which was to remind almost constantly these leaders of their promises in the year 2000. And the campaign every year, the stand-up campaign, really sort of its high point in the calendar is the 17th of October, which is International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. We're celebrating it on Friday the 16th here because of TR and holidays and so forth. Last year, 118 million people around the globe participated in the stand-up events on the 17th of October. It even managed to get into the Guinness Book of Records. It was a huge global mobilization of people of all walks of life to say, we believe in the MDGs, we remind our leaders of the promises that they have made, and we're going to hold them to account for 2015. So this week in Nepal, as with previous years, we're going to participate actively. There's a big concert in Tundikel in the afternoon of Friday, where we hope thousands of Nepalis will participate. And very importantly, late morning on Friday, actually, the President of the Republic, President Yadav, will actually participate in a pledging ceremony of his own with the government, with the diplomatic corps, with civil society partners, which is a very precious moment and very rare to have a head of state that is actively participating and recommitting the country to these basic goals.
I think today whoever is watching our conversation made out quite a bit of the MDG and the UN, which is helping and pushing the government of the day to achieve what they ought to achieve for the people of Nepal, and the activities that are planned for the next week. And I really thank you very much for having time out and attending this invitation.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you very much.
Great pleasure. Thank you for your time.